What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, getting ready here for our summer session, and the waves are really rolling. We're going to take a look at all of that right now. Hope everyone from around the world is great, doing well. Looking forward to this session with you this morning. A lot going on. There's a lot of setups. And I hope that some of you are involved in some of them. And if not, after this session, get a really good look at what's going on. There's opportunity going on in this session right now. So we'll get into it pretty quick. What is going on, everybody? Thanks for being here this morning. Thanks for destroying that like button. Can you imagine 300 people in here, already 69 likes, 70. Can't keep up. I sound like Vince Vaughn. I never heard that before, but there we go. And all right, let's check it out. We were talking about, someone mentioned, was it Lemmy, about the alts exploding, right? And yeah, I noticed that. I was having a conversation earlier this morning with a childhood friend, and he was telling me about Link in March during the crisis. It went from like $1 something, and it's trading at over 6 today. That's over a 6x from the bottom in March. And I said to him, well, that was during the crisis. I don't think too many people were looking, to buy Linked back then, right? And it was. And look at this chart and tell me if this looks familiar. Just look at this chart and then look at this one. And hold on, let me go to the same month. There you go. Look at that chart. Look at that chart. I mean, they're not the same, but they're making that same, S&P down and then up and then now coming up. Link also doing that, right? And then that area over here, you can see how closely they almost look identical, as do many markets right now. But look what happened to Link afterwards. Just watch what it did after it went ahead and then made new highs. NASDAQ's already making new all-time highs, right? Crypto moves much faster. And then watch what happens. Well, watch what happens. Well, no, did you notice that? Did you notice that pullback right into the support after the breakout? Did you know? Look at this right there. And then it just went moon from the new highs, right? Pretty cool. Is that going to happen here? A lot of people, Raul Pal out on Twitter with a thread talking about how he thinks right now is the point when the markets could see the insolvency phase, that could be happening right now. That sounds ominous. Or what happens over here? What happens if we break out? We're able to break out from the high 3,200. Are we testing that sometime this week? Next week? 3,200 is, I mean, that's possible. And then if we break that, are we testing new all-time highs? I don't know. We're going to follow it. More stimulus is coming. I'm seeing talks about the $1,200 stimulus checks going out, maybe sometime bill being approved first week of August. And then after that, we have, as we're coming into the election, we're going to have the U.S. Treasury sitting on $1.6 trillion, adding that stimulus, right? And what's going to happen to the markets with all of these trillions of dollars coming out of it? The first stimulus package, the due in the first week of August, is probably going to be settled at about $1 trillion. Trump was asking for $2 trillion. Looks like it's going to be around $1 trillion, and then we'll see what the Treasury does from there. We will see. We're going to take a look at Raul's thread, not during this session, maybe in the afternoon. We're going to break it down, see what he's looking at. He's looking at a lot of the banks. We'll get to that as we get to it. Here we have the NASDAQ resuming up over here, over the previous session over here. And you see the S&P holding this area of support, that trend line support that we have. Right over there is where we pulled back into. And now we seem to be resuming off of that as well. If we start making by the way, look how hard, we're not trading to the downside. We haven't been looking since over here, right? Since taking profits here, we've not looked to trade to the downside at all. Look how hard and difficult this would have been. Look at these spike ups. Look at these fake outs. That's hard money. That's difficult money. What happens if price starts making lower lows over here? right? Well, if we start making lower lows over here than this previous price bar, momentum goes to the downside, I'm still looking for further support to lean against to buy, right? That's what I would be looking for. I'm not looking to play the downside at all right now. When does the downside become in play? You know, what would happen if, for example, because it's the greatest threat, if insolvency all of a sudden became an issue, right? And then what happens if we broke this trend line? That's the trend line we've been watching for quite a while, right? That's the important line. Above there, bulls are definitely in control. That would be the first sign of a technical breakdown. And if it broke over here sometime today or this week, 30, 33 in that area, that's support, that's also in play. So you got a lot of support down over here, pulled back about 1% into this trend line over here. Looks like a good place to resume out. Let's see if that happens this session. Dollar's a little bit softer today. You can see it being rejected right there by that little bit of local resistance, and it's being rejected as we speak. Euro is strong relatively, and you can see the euro also coming off of this at the same time, the adverse, right, of the DXY coming off this local support and seems to be resuming well out of it, maybe taking a run at the trendline resistance and maybe setting up to break it, right? A lot going on. Gold, of course, 1,800. Gold at 8-year highs over here. I'm going to just pull up a 3-day chart so we get a deeper perspective, right? Look at that. That's beautiful. And rightfully so. It's got the technicals behind it. It's got the fundamentals behind it. And again, we have more stimulus coming. And soon. Now looking over here at silver, catching up over here. It's still got a little ways to go to catch up to the yearly highs. Right now, if we look at the gold to silver ratio, which I don't have on my chart, I don't have on my watch list. I need to add that to my watch list. We would see that right now gold is actually which is outperformed. Let's take a look at it. All right, back. It's silver coming back out of this pullback, and we expect silver to be outperforming for a while to come, years to come. If you go back to 2008, just so you see where it peaked when QE started, after the crisis in 2008, this is where QE started right here in December of 2008. October was the height of the crisis. And then fast forward to December, this is where QE started. And this is where the gold to silver ratio started to turn. It had that little bit of a pullback. And then, for the next few years, it really, really took off. And then again, you can see during the crisis now, same thing. That's when gold really shines, right? If there's another crisis, gold, playing gold versus silver, that seems like a nice place to go. And then we're expecting silver over the next few years to really, really continue to outperform gold, and by a big way. It's even happening this morning. Although silver is not making any yearly highs, gold making 8-year highs, you do see silver outperforming today, up 1.5%, while gold is up 0.7%. And Bitcoin also lagging at this moment. Right? I don't know if that's the best chart to show you. It's all marked up for my purposes for different reasons. Bitcoin, well, I'll stay on the 3-day with you. Bitcoin also resuming out over here. If and right now it is correlated pretty tightly to the equity markets. You can see that detachment from gold. Gold's doing its own thing. Gold's paving the way. Bitcoin will soon become the leader, but right now it's still working towards that 10,400 resistance over here. When do we reach that by? I'm thinking it could be anywhere from today to probably still a few months out, and we'll see. But it's working. It's Bitcoin is looking great. It's getting ready for that break. That break is coming. Right now, it's gold's time. Gold is really leading the way. Gold seems to be doing the hard work. Probably gold, after it reaches new all-time highs, which is getting really close up over here, right? Just really nothing in its way now. And as we hit 1900, right, one of two things is going to happen. That's normally, as you get to the all-time highs, you'll see price have a pretty decent pullback right around that area. Now it could break a little bit, it could just go below a little bit, but usually from there you'll see price pull back pretty decent. That's usually the pullback to buy. That's the last pullback. From there you're going to make new all-time highs, and when you do make new all-time highs, you're going to make new all-time highs. There'll be nothing in the way. I don't know what the next stop after 1900 would be or will be, or the timing on it, but watch for an initial pullback, or if you get definitely a bigger break, then you are looking for the first pullback below that. But 1900 looks like it is on its way. Will gold bounce down to 720 and then up? I mean, gold does not look like it's going to bounce down to 720. It took a while consolidating over here before breaking out over here. So it looks like it is broken out. Now, is it possible that gold does come back down all the way to 720, test this resistance over here, confirm that as support? It's possible. It doesn't look like that's what's happening. It doesn't look like. So just to give yourself an idea, though, you could go on gold, like this last pullback, right? That was almost 5%, 4.7%, just shy of 5%. So, you could just take Murray, the high of whatever price is, if you got a 3% pullback, would you be a buyer on gold, or are you going for a 5% pullback all the way back down to that 720 support? I think if you get a 2 or 3% pullback on gold, that might be the time to start positioning in. This could really, we've talked about once we've cleared this level, the path to 1900 was going to come hard and quick. That looks to be playing out exactly like that. All right. So the crisis was difficult, by the way. I remember picking up some silver at 12.50 and then selling it like at 14.50 a few days, or a week later, and again thinking that was a good trade, but you didn't know over here if we were going to be back down towards the lows in just another week or not. I mean, that was the situation over here. It was possible, like if you're involved in this, as I was over here, you don't know if next week you're going to be trading below 12 or not, right? So, that's the difference between holding physical stuff, which obviously is very, not easy to buy, and it's not as easy to sell. You're not going to get rid of it so quickly. You're more of a holder. Same thing with storing Bitcoin in a hardware wallet offline, right? So here we are. Let's see, we have about 15 minutes to the U.S. equity markets open. There's nothing going on the calendar all week. There's nothing going on the calendar all week. And just as we look ahead anyway, there's really nothing on the calendar next week outside of ECB press conference, right? Bank of Canada rate statement. But none of these things are really what's in play. What's in play is going to be, in my view, in my mind, is going to be this week over here, the second week of, or the second week of August, when we see whether or not we get the new stimulus bill passed. I think that's what the markets are going to be really keen. It's going to be difficult to take these markets down when, like, with certainty there's more stimulus coming and large numbers, right? $1 trillion just for the checks going out. They're talking about bringing down the barrier from $70,000 households making $70,000 or less to maybe like $45,000 or less. Nevertheless, it's going to help a lot of people. It's going to be a lot of injection coming in. You see gold reacting. Bitcoin's lagging, right? Bitcoin is trading, I think, according to stock to flow, it should be somewhere around 11,500, call it. So it is lagging, and anytime Bitcoin is lagging the model, it's a good time to actually buy. As you're going to see, there's going to be many times, especially towards the top, where Bitcoin is blowing away the model. It's just gotten way too far of itself, and there's going to be that reversion to the mean. There's no question about it. Let's take a look at what's going on over here. By the way, thanks everyone for being here. Thank you for showing the love, smashing that like button. It really does help support the channel, and I appreciate that. I'm watching here on the Euro. I'm now going to be doing on the 8 hour. I'm going to be looking at everything on the 8 hour. You see the Euro coming off of this support over here. It looks like it is coming up, and it looks like the next test is going to be this trend line. We're seeing the dollar at the same time backing off that resistance a little while. What else is going on out there? By the way, and let's while we're focused on the euro, let's check out some other euro pairs, starting with the euro Japanese yen. You could see earlier in the week, it had what looked like a resumption out of this support over here. You could see that occurring right there when price made the higher high. It was looked to be as a blue line I have over there showing that pullback into support and then resumption. It then went down the other way. Now this is a question of stop placement. So many traders placing that stop so close and getting stopped out. You gotta give the trade room. You can't be taking 20 pip stop losses or anything like that, right? You got to give the trade some room over here. It is now pulling up, resuming back upwards. You're seeing that strength in the euro, but the market is very mild. This definitely looks like a summer day. It looks like a summer day right now. Volatility down a little bit, but we could see the sets out there look pretty nice. Euro New Zealand dollar. I mean, this is clearly at a bottom, right? I don't buy bottoms. I don't try to pick the bottom. So there's no trade for me. Only waiting to see if this rises up into a resistance because I'm looking to sell resistance, but that's not happening right now. Euro, British pound. This is actually set up right now for an entry. You can see the head and shoulders that we were watching in yesterday's session, the head and shoulders. And then someone brought this up in the comments. I'm not sure who it was, but someone brought up the head and shoulders here on the Euro British pound. This was a horizontal neckline. You can see now the break of the neckline. And now we're resuming up and we're testing that breakout. So there hasn't been an entry yet, but right now you have entry criteria, right? You have entry criteria where you're looking for price to make a lower low. And that would give you the opportunity to get short over here, targeting probably all the way down to 0.8877. That's a pretty good looking trade over there. What exactly would be the target? Let's go down to the neckline to the top over here. And then it's going to take that and put this to where the entry is over here. Yeah, it takes us down into that support down over there, right? It's actually got us going down a little lower to where this, you see that support in that resistance? I have it up here. It has it targeting down there. I think I like that better. I'm gonna keep that support down there and look at that. Now, what about if this trade doesn't trigger? What happens if this trade doesn't trigger and all of a sudden price keeps rising up? Then you never have an entry, right? If price does break that area, that little bit of support over here, and it does break out to the upside, I think you're then looking for a retest and a resumption upwards and looking that as a failed break if that was a head and shoulders. Right? And then there you go. It's thumbs up if the bottom is in blue. Joel, what's going on, Joel? All right, what else are we looking at? I want to look at just the euro, Swiss franc really swiftly as it's coming into this area of support. All right, do you see that? Now, is that buying a bottom? Is the March the low? Is this March, right? No, this is May. There's the March lows. Listen, I don't know. That's a tough one. You could see this is actually an example of where you want to just be able to assess, to analyze the chart, to figure out where you expect price to be, and then watch it play out like that. And over here, even though I'm not considering taking any type of long over here, what it looks like to me is that this is coming in down into a pretty strong area of support. And this is probably where it's going to find its bottom, resume up, at least take another look at this resistance up over here. The only thing that would derail that would be if we got some huge bout of risk off. Speaking of which, we're in a risk on environment. And until we start seeing risk off, like where it's clear it's risk off, we're risk on. You know, you can see over here, this is the euro Canadian dollar coming back up towards this resistance. Euro looks like, it's looking to me at least like it has the potential to really go bid. If it breaks above that resistance, that does open up the upside over here. Are you looking to go ahead and sell the euro versus the Canadian dollar as you come into this resistance? You've been in this long sideways range for quite a while now, for a couple of months, and now we're up towards the resistance. Do you sell that? I don't know. Australian dollar, US dollar resuming off of this support over here this morning. Obviously, an entry right over there. Again, I mean, that's where I'm leaning, in the fact that we are risk on. Here you came into this little area of support until something happens, whereas, okay, wait a second, risk is entering the market. We are now going risk off, right? That's where we are, chilling out, taking it easy, summer trading. So then, similar to the S&P play, here you have the Australian dollar, US dollar resuming off of that support. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, this is broken to the upside of this resistance over here. It has confirmed it as support and is now still consolidating before its next move. Do you buy here on any higher highs during a preferred session? Something to think about. Is definitely a setup over there. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, it's kind of neutral. It's kind of sideways. That's what I notice. It's just hugging that line over there at 0.6542. So nothing going on there. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. This also, we looked at the euro, Japanese yen. We saw that it had taken what looked like a buy signal coming up off support and then traded down, and now seems to be resuming up, where at least the Australian dollar lagging the euro Japanese yen. The Australian dollar is versus the Japanese yen over here. It's getting close to another buy signal over here. Now, again, if you entered over here, you're still holding that position, right? There's no way you have your stop loss that tight. What else are we looking at over here? The euro. This is the euro Australian dollar, and you can see that strength of the euro. The euro, after trying to break out of this trend line, right, earlier in the week, it was a failed break. We came all the way back down, and now we're resuming back above this trend line over here, and we're coming into that resistance again, the one we were rejected by just a day ago at 1.626. It looks like the euro has the potential to break that resistance and then start a move up. This will be a confirmed trend line break. And then as far as targeting, probably first, right? The first area you're looking at is 1.637. Let me go ahead and move this down over here for my own benefit. Put it right over there at 1.636. Euro, Canadian dollar. Let me zoom out a little bit. We already looked at this, right? We looked at all the euro pairs. Let me jump forward to the British pound. We're going to start with the pound US dollar and pound US dollar. All right. You could also see we've looked at the DXY. We saw how it was being rejected by resistance. We looked at the euro US dollar. We saw how that's resuming upwards off of support. And we looked at also the Australian dollar US dollar also resuming upward against the dollar off that support. The same thing's happening here against the pound US dollar, coming back down and now resuming up off of that support. Let's see, I have the pound Canadian dollar highlighted. So let's see why. You can see over here the breakout yesterday of this resistance and then came back down and is testing the support now, looking for higher highs here on the pound Canadian dollar, possibly. What else do we have? The pound Swiss franc. I want to check out the US dollar Mexican peso, only that's because if we're looking at S&P finding support over here and resuming up, possibly coming up to test this high over here at 32, 33, at least to 32, that would see further weakness here on the US dollar Mexican peso. We could see the peso coming back and even testing maybe 21.50. If the S&P goes on and is able to take out that early June high, that's what you would be seeing. And we're getting close. So interesting puzzle to put together this morning. Yeah, so that's, I mean, it's been a long time since I've talked about it or highlighted the fact that basically what you're looking at here, the markets are one of the most complicated, challenging things that exist. Now, it does offer a unique freedom in so many different areas that that's why it's so challenging, right? That's why so many people are competing. But the markets are so complex, and as a trader, you get to make so many different decisions, including whether or not you think that you want to start out trading live money. Now, if you think about it for a second, it sounds pretty ridiculous that you're jumping into such a competitive arena, trading live money against professionals before you know what you're doing. Now, I'm not saying you, Rubber Jimmy, no, don't know what you're doing. I'm talking about people in general, right? So that's one of the first choices you can make. Now, a lot of people don't like trading on a demo because they feel like that it inhibits their emotions. Well, I feel like if you learn what you need to do to make money on a demo, you could just then do that on a live account. It's a lot easier. Your emotions are already in check because you know what to do to make money. Emotions aren't really in play whatsoever. Now you get to decide whether or not you're going to use the MACD, the RSI, moving averages, fib retracement levels, Wycliffe distribution zones, and or like a million other possible choices, and a lot, including the time frame you trade, including what you trade, and all of these things are choices you get to make. And the more, the more clarity you put on your side, that's an edge, right? What's another edge? Time frame. We only trade the 8 hour, right? What are we following? We're following price. We are following price. Price is the only indicator that's not lagging. And then what do you follow? How are you following price? Around the market structure of support and resistance. Yeah, you can't train mental strength on a demo. I mean, if losing money is training your mental strength, then yeah, I guess not. But the thing is that there once you learn what you need to do to make money, there's it's all detachment. You'll just never break a rule because you know what it takes to make money. It's I think I truly think people are wrong about that. I think that if you're not making money, you belong on a demo. Boom, Gene. Thank you for that. Love that comment. That's really nice of you. I want to go back and figure out where the money is today. Let me go look at the rest of these pairs over here. I'm seeing the Canadian dollar as taking advantage of that weaker dollar. I'm seeing the correlation of the equity markets playing out here on the US dollar, Canadian dollar as well, right? So it looks like that we're coming back down to test the support at 1.35. US dollar, Swiss franc, oof. I mean, this looks like it's getting ready to break down to me. Dollar in jeopardy here of it, and there's no reason we shouldn't see a continued weakness in that dollar in the foreseeable future. What's the foreseeable future? Through the rest of the year. That's a long time, 6 months, but we are talking about a lot of stimulus on its way, which should weaken the dollar, as well as generally speaking, in going into U.S. elections, we see a weaker dollar. So, I'm not saying bet against the dollar, right? I'm hang out on your swing trade time frame. But here's the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, and you could see that they are. We've tried to get a couple of breakouts here. You got to chase it, right? Back down, reversion of the mean, right? But really, we are still nowhere, sideways. There's nothing going on here on the US dollar, Japanese yen that offers any type of edge at the moment. And maybe the play doesn't even become, I still like my line at 1097, right? Above there, you got to be taking the buy side. As this 5-year trend line comes down lower and lower, do you take any breakouts of that lower down over here? Or do you just play this, you just wait until we, break a really important resistance, such as the yearly high at 112.18 before thinking about a long-term long over here? I don't know. I prefer to stay away from that completely right now. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Is wondering that you have a pretty small account. When you diversify your profile, you feel like you're missing out on things. Any advice? I mean, yeah, well, a couple of things, right? In trading Forex, you're talking portfolio. So I'm going to talk about that, address that in 1 second. But first, I'm just going to talk about an account because your Forex trading, your account is a portion of your portfolio, right? But focusing on Forex, I mean, you're risking, a 0.5% or a percent per trade of whatever that account is. So whether you're diversifying yourself by trading multiple pairs, right? I mean, not that it orders the diversification. Either which way, your risk is the same on an account that's $1,000 as it is on an account that is $1,000,000. But as far as that taking up space in your portfolio, then maybe you own something like gold in that portfolio also, right? And you feel like because you're diversifying out, I mean, if you have a small portfolio, I me personally speaking at this moment in time, go to the playlist and watch the Bitcoin videos. You know, if if my kid was old enough to start investing themselves right now and they had all the money they've saved up, even if it was $100, I would tell them to invest that in Bitcoin over the next 18 months. There's no question about it. You have to in order to make money, you kind of do need to, to not diversify your risk, to concentrate your funds. When you have wealth, that's when you really want to diversify it out in order to keep it. At that point, you're not really growing it. This is a good question. I'm thinking about investing in Square, but I find it hard to trade when it's making new all-time highs. Any tips? Yeah, that's a good question. It's because it's not Square related; it's market related right now, and you're kind of in a trader's market. Well, someone actually mentioned this on the YouTube channel comment yesterday when they were talking about summing up what I was saying, and they were saying that he's basically saying we're in a trader's market, right? The fundamentals don't really matter. Liquidity does, and we could see, right, insolvencies lead to a crunch in the liquidity market. But right now they're buoyant, and right now we have more stimulus coming. Does it make sense that Square has gone, 4x off the bottom over here? I mean, in all fairness to Square, their revenue was increasing during the pandemic, and that was as their point of sale systems weren't being used. And that was because the buying of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just getting going over here. It accounts for half of Square's revenue, purchases of Bitcoin, right? As Bitcoin goes bull, expect Square's revenue to increase. No question about that. So is this, do you want to buy Square? How do you buy something when it's trading up? Well, first of all, we don't ever do that. We don't ever buy something as prices that far extended away. You could pull up like a 4-day moving average, maybe, Miguel. Pull up a 4-day moving average, and as long as it's trading that far of a gap above the 4-day moving average, don't even touch it. You could wait for a pullback below the 4-day moving average. Let's see, it's probably been about 17 years since I've done this. But let me try. Let's pull up a simple moving average. I'll put 4-day. Let's see if I could adjust this. Thanks for bearing with me over here. So 4-day, right? Buying something extended above the 4-day is almost. I mean, you have to wait for the pullback below. Here's a pullback below. Here price traded below. Wait for price to at least pull back in there if you're looking to buy. That thing is really going parabolic right now. Not to say that it can't continue, but jumping in there, I don't know about that. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Let's finish my look here across the markets because it's only New Zealand dollar pairs that I have not looked at. I definitely want to take them out. Boom, boom, boom. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar is being rejected right now at some resistance. I'm looking back. That's a big level of resistance. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. So this offers the opportunity, right? You could actually, I could say, I'm scrolled out really far right now. I could say that's in a downtrend. I'm at strong resistance. I'm looking for the potential entry over there, right? And there, it's actually a short entry right there. Or you could say, no question about it, I'm in an uptrend, right? And I'm buying off supports down here. Yeah, there's a big enough range where you could be doing both, and both are correct right now. Right now we are seeing more of that risk environment, and it seems to me that New Zealand dollar is outperforming and should continue to outperform the Canadian dollar in this environment. A break above that resistance over here, right? That opens up this whole next area. Might even be looking towards 0.89832 as the next area of resistance to look into. So interesting. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. See, I think the reason I'm avoiding the New Zealand dollar is because I'm focused here on the Australian dollar, and you could see the same setups happening, but it just looks a little bit cleaner over here happening on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Uh, and for that reason, I'm not even going to go over the New Zealand dollar pairs right now. It's just not where I'm focused. I feel like, with all of these flags lit up, there's a lot going on right now. It is the summer, right? But markets are kind of beautiful right now, and they've been since yesterday. Not necessarily easy, but very, very nice. I love it. My favorite time is when you have all of these setups to be able to go over and then pick from. That's what I like. I don't really like so much having to be wait. I might be patient, but it's not that I like being patient. That's not the time of the market that I enjoy the most. But you know what? Like I said earlier in this live stream, that once you figure out how to make money, there's no more emotions involved, and you just do whatever it takes. You know what it takes. That includes sitting on your hands and being patient, even if it means not trading for a week, right? Which, I mean, that happened last week during that Halloween week, which is why I bring it up. But it means waiting a couple of days, maybe even 3 days. What happens if you have to wait, right? You didn't trade on the weekend. You have to wait Monday, Tuesday, all of Wednesday into Thursday for the setups that week. You have to have that type of patience. There's a question about Bitcoin, so I want to take it. I feel like we've done our analysis here on the FX pairs. Now we can get into some other stuff, and as well as this other question we have over here. Do you think earnings coming up next week should be aware of the big potential downsides? Look, maybe earnings come in actually better than expected. The bar was set pretty low for COVID, and it's not only that, it's then what future earnings look like. I have no idea what they're going to look like. Is that something that could take the markets down? I do not think so. Look, the increase in COVID cases around the world is not bringing the market down. So there you go. That's what's happening right now. So I know you addressed this before, but how come you believe Bitcoin won't crash 30%? Wait, no, that's not true at all. I think that Bitcoin could crash 35% easily at any point during a bull market. I've already looked down. It's right here at 6,500, 6,400. That's the level Bitcoin would test if it were to go down 30%. Of course, I think Bitcoin could go down 30%. Of course I do. Here's the all-time high. Here is I'm sorry, let's go post-halving high. Post-halving high. Yep, right into 65. You're looking at about 35%. 64, 35%. I believe that could happen. I don't think that's going to happen, but I believe it could happen. Of course, I'm ready for that. I think that could happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it could happen. Yeah, MRB. We actually we looked at that in yesterday's live training session for on conquering the markets. That link, by the way, was sent to the Telegram group and by email to all members. Copper, right? I haven't looked at a chop of copper, but I was thinking about copper yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, I was thinking about copper. I never traded copper in my life. Wow, that is beautiful. It's not as beautiful as Link by any means, but that's still a beautiful chart. And you know, I have to assume if I go back to when QE started, let's do that. Let's go back to when QE started in 2008 just to get an idea of what copper did and where it was at that point. Coming back right over here to 2008, here's when QE started in December. That's the bottom. And then look what happened as precious metals went on that huge bull run. Here you got copper, right? And copper, what? Has monetary value as well as industrial value. But look at that run. And now here we are, the same thing. Here's when QE started right there on that very bottom, right? Is copper going on? And I don't know what it's going to do personally. If we have these huge infrastructure projects built in the United States, could that help copper? I would think so. But again, that's not my forte, I shall say. So that's not where I focus in on. Nice, Gene. I loved yesterday's session as well, where we really hit at all of the FX pairs, going at them. Really, and you know what? It's because right now that's what's happening in the markets. It's so easy. We have all these setups. It's not always the case. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah. So, guys, I mean, truthfully, listen. It's a good question. I guess you got to be careful. You have to be careful anyway. So I got into Bitcoin pretty late, and when I say that, I mean that for real. Um, it was right around, I think it was right around here in this area. Um, and this was 2015. I didn't buy Bitcoin, but this is when I really did my deep dive into Bitcoin. Price. Let me get a quote over here. I want to make a confirm price so I know. Yeah, exactly. It was somewhere in 2015, and I have no idea where. And I didn't buy my first Bitcoin there. This is when I just started showing my wife some Bitcoin documentaries on Hulu, and really just kind of beginning to learn about Bitcoin more than understanding that it was just like some internet magic money, because the first time I heard about Bitcoin was back in 2010. That's when I just immediately dismissed it, right? And then from there, I went to seminary for a year, and during that year I was a little bit just I wasn't following what was going on in tech, and in San Francisco we were always up on the latest tech. And that's why I say I got into Bitcoin very late, 2015, and it wasn't until Bitcoin hit $800, $800 that I bought my first Bitcoin. That was in 2016, and from there Bitcoin really shot the moon. And that's when I really started learning about Bitcoin. Was back when I purchased my first Bitcoin, and that's was a journey that went on for a couple of years. Intense amount of study. um, I really feel like if I walk into a room, unless I'm at a Bitcoin conference, I know more about Bitcoin than anyone I'm in the room with. And at the same time, my understanding of Bitcoin is so far beneath many people. So there we are. That was a little a Bitcoin rant. Yeah, I was studying for the Catholic priesthood. I was so happy. I didn't. It took a long time for me to go to seminary. for a long time. I felt like God wanted me to do that. I did not want to do that. I wanted marriage and family. And then I feel like when I finally said, okay, God, I'll do whatever you want, I feel like he gave me my heart's greatest desire. Pretty amazing. God is more than pretty amazing. God is enormous. Yeah, let's do it, Will. This is the perfect time right now. Let's look at Ethereum. Let's, by the way, see what's going on over here with Bitcoin also on the move. Not just someone just pointed out Euro US dollar was here on the move, coming back. Yeah, testing that resistance, right? Testing that resistance. And Euro Japanese yen, I assume, is resuming off there following well. Market's looking nice and healthy here. Bitcoin is getting up, but we're looking at Ethereum right now, and everyone knows, for the record, I believe there's a strong chance we're going to see Ethereum outperform Bitcoin in this next bull market. I'm still a Bitcoiner. How about that? I don't, here we go. So this looks very good coming off and resuming off of over here. It actually looks like that Ethereum is getting set up and it's looking at some significantly higher levels over here. When I say higher, I'm looking at the 358 resistance, right? And to be honest, it's only a matter of time before we break that. In my opinion, in my opinion, we're gonna be breaking the 358 resistance. I don't know. Maybe let's look at Bitcoin versus Ethereum. That's almost looks exactly like the Ethereum chart, does it not? Is this the time to get long Ethereum versus Bitcoin? I mean, it's such a hard one for me because why technically, yes. Why fundamentally, yes. When I say fundamentally, 4-year Bitcoin cycle, we are now entered the halving. It's usually 6 months from the halving that altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin, and alt season has officially begun. That's 6 months after the halving, right? Where does that put us? It puts us somewhere this fall. It's coming up, and it's just a few months away. And but at the same time, I don't want to own Ethereum, so it's difficult. But either way, I do believe that. I think that this is getting ready to blast off. I think it's getting ready to blast off to the upside. The reason why alt season lags Bitcoin, the halving by 6 months, I think it's because as Bitcoin starts, testing those new all-time highs, there's really a lot of hype about it. It's all over the media. Everyone knows about it. Everyone's attracted to it. Everyone thinks Bitcoin's too expensive. They start buying these cheaper altcoins. Ripple too, right? Ripple's ripping today, and get ready. Get ready because this thing could really rip higher from where it is. I don't want to own Ripple at the end of the day either, right? So I feel very comfortable and I want to own Bitcoin. So there's a big difference between the alts and looking at Bitcoin over there. And but when you see these gains and this is a 6x, I mean, granted it was during a crisis. Granted it happened during a crisis, right? That's unusual, but it's not unusual for altcoins to make 10x returns in a very short amount of time. Yeah, I mean, after they mine all the Bitcoin, which won't be in our lifetimes, what probably will be happening, the fees on chain will be sufficient for all the miners, as well as you have to understand that you're going to be paying for equipment. The cost of electricity by the time all Bitcoins are mined, right, will probably be all free renewable energy. So just the fees alone, confirming the network, is going to be enough. Global liquidity, to be specific. I'm trying to read the comments. That's why you see a little bit of quiet going on over here. There we go. We got the full emoji play right now. Love it. Yep. So I don't want to cause any controversy, right? So it's a tough one. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, the co-founders of Ethereum, when they launched it, were misleading about the effectiveness of Ethereum. The network itself is enormous. You can't refute that. There's no question about it. Does it have a future? That people are trying to make it happen, but they knew it was not scalable from day one. They knew it was not scalable when they launched it. They have been trying to launch Ethereum 2.0 for a couple of years. Their timeline keeps moving back further. It's pure speculation, and that's why I say I do not want to own any Ethereum, right? I feel comfortable owning Bitcoin. I don't feel comfortable owning Ethereum. Even if Ethereum is able to go ahead and, peak out over here around 1,500 or something like that, or even maybe even higher, that's a significant return you can make. I just don't want to be involved. S&P breaking out now. Looking nice. Markets are looking beautiful. It's like a smooth surf, right? You got to enjoy it when it's happening. You got to enjoy it when it's happening because the rides are smooth right now. And let's see if that, even though like we got the little bit of a summer low, let's see if we get some extended moves really work out for us. Yeah, good. That's a good one. That's a good trade over there. Yeah. All right. Someone with a lot of love in their heart. I appreciate that very much. So I would like to know your opinion of holding each stock. Listen, my opinion is, again, the market is really complicated. You want to look for edge over edge over edge. You have an enormous edge, in my opinion, in trading the foreign exchange currency markets compared to trading individual stocks, right? There's no question about it. It's a better market. Open up a demo account, and start trading FX and focus only on trading that demo account. Focus on exactly what we're doing. I think you're gonna have a much better experience. And if you're asking a question like how long should I hold each stock, or if you're looking there's no question about it. Look into the training program. Look into working with me and my course, because if you don't have a strategy, you need a strategy. Ooh, the alt season has begun. I'm gonna be an observer, a nice observer of alt season, right? That I like to hear. I want to see more of that. Can we get some more of those comments, in our future? But here we go. And I have to be honest. I think breaking 10,400 soon. Outside of, I would say 6 weeks. That's what I would be. I might be surprised at that. Anyway, obviously you can tell by the canter, the tone of my voice, that I don't know, and I don't know, right? And I'm prepared for Bitcoin to go down 30%, but I don't think that's happening, right? I think that we're going to be taking the next level is 10,400, and then I think the next time we look at it is the time that we do break it. So there we are, looking at a short entry on Tesla. I'm going to field that one just for the fun of it, right? So again, we have right, everyone know, quick rundown just because it's what we all, right here, you take profits on Tesla. If we break the resistance over here at 868, you're looking for a resumption, a retest, and a resumption to get long. You get long on Tesla. Now, as you're making new all-time highs, is it time to take profit? You're in a phenomenal entry, right? Way up on Tesla. And you're in an environment where we're looking right here at the markets are completely risk on, ignoring what's happening with the increase in COVID cases, looking forward to the stimulus coming in August, followed by also the fall. Do you really want to be betting against equity markets right now? Right? If you were going to short Tesla, wouldn't shorten Tesla mean waiting maybe until it traded down, 50%, 45% from its high? Why would you short something at its high? Maybe price falls down to 1,300 next week. and it was a great trade, but you're setting yourself up for failure in the long run. There's no way. You're setting yourself up for failure in the long run. This is in a strong uptrend, and it's buy off support in strong uptrends. Well, the nearest support now is not all the way down to 1,000, right? Are we going down to 1,000? Are we going to have that type of decline? I don't think so. I don't think so in this environment, unless insolvency, unless we get that liquidity crunch again in the markets. Then yeah, then you can get short Tesla. But right now, markets are liquid, markets are buoyant, and there's no support to buy off of. You have to wait for the market, Tesla, to consolidate and make a new low, make a swing low, a support level that you then have to lean off of. Right now, there's no trade on Tesla, in my opinion. Yeah, Isan, it is a taco day today. 100% comment of the day. Yeah, you got it, Will. My pleasure. At what point would I short Bitcoin? So the question remains. We've looked at this in one of the videos on the channel, but the question is, when will I short Bitcoin, right? Because I'm getting ready to short Bitcoin. And that's looking like somewhere around as we enter 2021, right? Maybe as we come into November, December, January 2022, in that area, right? Then at that point, will I be looking to short Bitcoin? No, I'll be looking to get out of Bitcoin, into something much more stable at the time. And then eventually, as we enter that huge bear market and we have, a 85% decline, that's when I'll be looking to start accumulating and positioning back into Bitcoin. What's the next? We'll talk about that a few years from now. Yeah, Jason, let's take a look at the Euro Japanese yen. Now we're getting some nice follow through. Here. Are you looking for any type of, like, do you see a channel, over here? I don't even know where to find a channel. So I'm just going to look really quick, 1 second. But I'm not going to make a thing of it because we don't need it. All right. How about this? This is how I work. All right. So you got this bottom channel. I'm going to clone that. All right. So are we potentially looking at this? Right. So if you're in this trade here long, where are you looking at as far as your first resistance and or potential take profits? If we come up, if we continue a slow grind, as this has been a slow grind up, right? As we enter and get close to, I have to check out that 122.73 resistance level. I don't know what that is against. So let me see. Yep. That's a pretty good spot right over there. I even think it's right there, maybe. I'm going towards the body of these candles. This was then also here, the body. This was resistance. And then over here with this spike, right? And then over here, these two touches. So that level looks pretty good for me to watch. And then I want to understand why it's there, because it doesn't add up well over here, why that resistance was there. And why I think it's better to draw your support and resistance on the daily. You can see over there, I went to the 3-day to really get a look at it. I tend to do it on the 8-hour. I needed to fall back and get just a little bit better of a perspective on that one in order to see. And you can see as we come towards the top of this channel, right? If this were to look like something like, is that where you look perhaps to take profit on this trade? Are you looking to watch how price reacts over here? See if we could get, perhaps a break outside of this channel and come up and then start testing even higher. Ultimately, I think that's always what a trader should be trying to do, is push past the first area of resistance, right? You're looking not, if you're looking to take profits into the first area of resistance, then the best that you could hope for would be maybe your break even. you'd probably be slightly unprofitable because of costs, right? But if you have a 1-to-1 overall risk to ratio, there's no way you're making money. So, beautiful day. Yeah, you got it, JP. You got it. You got it. My pleasure, my friend. Lower high equals lower low. Yeah, I mean, TJ, I think these things tend to overshoot themselves to the upside and downside, and you can never know what type of mania this will bring or for how long that will last. It could only last literally less than 2 weeks. You could see Bitcoin. I mean, I think it's safe to say the upside potential that I'm looking for, right? I think saying, 110,000 Bitcoin, that's for me, that's like an achievable goal that I firm like if I didn't achieve that, then I feel like then that's not what I was that's not what I was looking for. But that could overshoot itself to the upside easily for a short amount of time. Could you hit 140, 100%? Or we'll see if things get even crazier. There's a chance that the model could break the stock to flow model, and there's a real chance it could break to the upside, especially with all of this stimulus and expansion of the balance sheet that we're seeing. And who knows what a year from now looks like, or the size of the Fed's balance sheet. I would imagine it's going to be higher than 10 trillion. But maybe it's 20 trillion. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. Not in a year, But eventually, next cycle, right? We're going to be looking at $500,000 Bitcoin, right? What's the Fed's balance sheet going to be then? 5 years from now, is that going to be 20 trillion? Well, that's a good possibility. Yeah, that's a really good thing to highlight over there, saying that the commentary has helped improve your trading psychology, especially when I said don't keep looking at your trade every other minute. This is a good one. I'm glad you highlighted that. Someone actually sent me yesterday a bunch of phrases that I've said, and I was reading them, and I was definitely appreciating them. But this is another one. It's a really strong tip. As you enter a trade, you know where your stop loss is. You know where all your levels are. You don't continue looking and monitoring that trade because you're not exiting the trade until your original analysis, whether that's moving your stop loss, taking profit, or taking a loss, all comes into play. We got a large ratio of likes in this video. I have to say this video, this show, this episode, this session today has been really great, as was yesterday's. Really liking this time we're spending together in the summer over here. I think that we're going to be continuing to really developing, honing our skills here together. Euro New Zealand dollar we've looked at, and that is it's trading at a low, right? Here we go. There it is, right? You can see the euro is so strong today. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't look at the euro New Zealand dollar. Yeah, we did. You can see over here, it's found support and is now trading up. So let's look at this. Let's really look at this. I don't need this down here anymore. Hold on one second. Let's take a deep dive into the euro New Zealand dollar. I could see over here that strong area of support. Look at it over here. Look at it over there, right? And then again, now over here it was flipped to support, and that's holding. We are resuming up off of that support. It's clear now, right? Are you looking to be a buyer? Are we in an uptrend? I mean, listen, you can make the case for buying this support looking at this chart. The steepness and magnitude of this pullback, not so good. Do you want to be a buyer down here? That's a whole nother question. Or do you think that this is the top in March, that we're going to continue to make lower lows over here, maybe even take out the low down over here? And are you looking to sell into resistance? And if that's the case, you're looking above you, right? You're looking above. There's some resistance over there at 1.74, right? There's other stronger resistance above here. Are you looking for a pullback in a downtrend to sell off resistance, or do you consider that an uptrend? Do you consider that an uptrend or strong enough support that you want to buy off of it? That's the Euro New Zealand dollar. All right, everyone. I'm going to call it a session with you this morning, and it's been a good one. Look forward to sharing more with you this afternoon and definitely doing it again with you tomorrow. Enjoy the ride. Surf's up out there. It's some nice waves, and definitely hope that many of you are involved in some of them right now. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the love today. Lots of likes. Thanks for helping support the channel. I appreciate that. And I'll talk to you later.